This thing on? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yo, should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is Comics Today, a show that we do on Wednesday to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And in just a moment, we are going to go to the live chat to see what it is that you may have picked up earlier today if you hit your LCS. And I want to know what you picked up. I want to know who your LCS is, and if you read something that was pretty good that we should put on the top of our reading stacks, I want to know about that as well. And if you picked up a book recently that is not a new book, but it is new to you, I want to know about that so we can live vicariously through you spending money. And I will tell you, I have been doing a little shopping, but you are going to have to stay tuned to what it is that I actually picked up. I'll be releasing some videos here relatively soon to show you guys what it is that I've been working on in the background. As part of this show, because it is a celebration of New Comic Book Day, we oftentimes talk about news and current events, things that are impacting comics, and I have a guest or two on that helps me to make sense of something that is happening, and we are definitely going to have a couple of guests on the show tonight that are going to talk to me or talk with me and technically help me make a couple of really cool announcements that I am excited about. Before we get going here, one thing I want to make you guys aware of is that I dropped a bonus video earlier today. I had an opportunity to partner up with the folks at CBCS. They sent me one of their new magazine slabs, a slab that has not yet been released to the public. I had a chance to check this thing out, and I will tell you that you want to see the video because I'm not going to tell you anything about it. I want to encourage you to check out the video. It is on YouTube and you can find it here after the show. You definitely want to check it out. But this is one of those videos that was cool to do. It's always cool when people give you an opportunity to take a look at something that the general public hasn't seen just yet. So definitely encourage you guys to check that out when you get a chance. Another thing, a little bit of housekeeping here. I want to go ahead and give away the Short Box $100 credit for this month. For those that are not familiar with this thing, there are two videos that Shortbox sponsors here on the channel every single month. And one of those videos, I give you a chance to win a $100 credit simply for watching the video and leaving a comment behind on that video. I randomly pick a winner using this program that selects somebody, and we give away $100 credit for you to be able to go over to the Shortbox app to buy whatever it is that you want to buy. And sometimes you can actually find a book or a graded slab for less than $100, so you pay nothing, or you can use that money towards something that is above $100 and cut your expenses just a little bit. So the winner for this month is Steve White. Steve White took note of my fantastic DC wall behind me, specifically the Wonder Woman #1, a book that was pulled from the 100K collection and sent in, and I was fortunate enough to score a 9.8 on that. Shout out to Steve White. Definitely appreciate you, brother. Make sure you send me an email to Reggie@regiecollects.com with your name, screen name, which are pretty much the same, I do believe, and with your mailing address. I like that information sent to me via email for record keeping. We will get that discount code sent back out to you, but the trigger, Steve White, is the email sent to me. So there you go. We want to do that. All right. We're going to do some trivia tonight. I am going to go to the chat here in just a second, so you guys bear with me. We're going to do some trivia tonight. We're going to give away some books. And the folks over at Image Skybound hooked me up with some books that we're going to give away. I will try to bag and board these. A little bit of Stillwater, which is fantastic. Here is Dark Ride, which I think is incredible. The Walking Dead. I Hate This Place. I have a ton of these Walking Dead and Dark Ride variants that they send me. I will not show you this version of I Hate This Place because it's a family show, but we'll be sending that one out. Shout out to the folks over at Image Skybound for hooking a brother up every single month and putting me in a position where I get to give away some really cool stuff to folks that are watching the channel. So stay tuned because we're going to be giving away these books. We're also going to give away something that's a little harder to get. This is the ash can for Isolation issue number 3. This is number 29 of 50. And here is 28 of 50. So we're going to randomly give this stuff away. And again, I definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned to the rest of the show for an opportunity to win that. We like to give stuff away. We like to give it away, so we're going to make it happen. All right, so I want to go to the chat real quick. Let me know what it is that you guys picked up, and we're going to run it down. I'm bummed Stillwater has nothing to do. What is that? Nothing to do with Almost Famous. I enjoy Stillwater. I enjoy that comic from Image Skybound. I definitely enjoy that one. So Tina's like the ash can with heart emoji. Shout out to Tina. Tina is like the OG blue wrench to like multiple channels. She is collecting blue wrenches like she does shiny trinkets. You know, she is a true and trusted member of the comic book community. I have never met anyone that has a negative thing to say about Tina, except for maybe those people that she bans from live streams because they get out of control. But Tina is fantastic. I smile anytime I see her. Tina, it is always good to see you, my friend. Mark is on the board. He's saying Deep Cuts, Philadelphia, Blue Book, Torrent, World Tree, Dead Romans. I started reading Dead Romans the other day. I found it slightly painful. Found it slightly grim, and a few others, says Mark. I'm scrolling through. What is that? I picked up, what is that? Green Arrow 1, Strange Academy, Sins of Sinister, Dominion, from my LCS in Charlotte. Heroes aren't hard to find. That's what's up. That is a cool LCS. It is small, but it is extremely clean and well organized. One of the most organized LCSs I've ever been to. Heroes aren't too hard to find. Scrolling down through some of the comments, Harvey Abel, it is good to see you, brother. I hope that new, I think you said it's a calico cat. Hope the cat is doing well. Scrolling through a slew. Turbo Todd says a slew. It's not often you get to use the word slew. A slew of Daredevil Silver Age ! Trev, the shipping guru, it is good to see you, brother. Picked up Action Comics, Green Arrow, Doom Patrol. What is that? Local Man, Vanish, Strange Academy, etc., etc. Steve White's in the house. He says Stillwater was great. That's what's up. Oliver, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Tina will be running comics YouTube soon. She's already running the show. Tina is the bluest blue wrench, right? No doubt about it. Scrolling through the comments here. I read the first trade of Stillwater. It was really good. Doug, what was it that Trev, the shipping guru, was saying? And your response was something about me needing a 6-figure backer. What was that? I did not see the entire conversation, but I saw that part. Brian, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Shout out to the Comic Book Community Awards. Brian's making magic happen. I think he's going to be making some announcements here coming up in May. If you guys are not on board with the Community Awards, I definitely encourage you to check it out. I saved some money and only grabbed the High Republic Adventures book. That's what's up. That title is pretty darn hot right now. Chip Zdarsky is coming to West End Comics in Toronto this Saturday from 12 to 4. Nothing, Steve White, nothing beats Keanu Reeves showing up. Shout out to the folks over at Boom Studios for making that happen. He showed up at a comic shop. I wasn't in California. It was somewhere in New York, maybe. Just randomly Keanu Reeves pops up. That is pretty cool. TMNT, The Last Ronin, Lost Years, issue number 3. Scrolling through the comments, Miscellaneous T picked up World Tree 1, Exo Men of War 1, Deep Cuts 1. It's been an independent week. I respect that. Also, still working my way through Isolation 3 Mystery Box. Brother, that isolation mystery box was loaded with some good stuff. And I will tell you, there was like an assortment of stuff in there. Some people actually scored some original art. Some people scored original art. Some people scored every single issue of Isolation issue #1 that was put out there, along with a bunch of other stuff. I absolutely appreciate every single person that picked up one of the mystery boxes or one of the packages for Isolation issue #3. It put us in a great position to be able to make some magic happen and to keep things rolling forward. And I am very thankful for that. Phil Tastic picked up Savage She-Hulk #1 on the cheap recently, along with X-Men 44 and some modern books. Congrats to you, brother. Was that before or after I gave it a shout out in my video? Shout out to everybody that watched the Snag It Now video. That video has been watched, I think it's like 5,000 times or something like that in the last few days. So shout out to everybody that checked that one out. No, Chuck, you have never lied, sir. You have never lied. And here's the thing. I didn't take Latin, but I know the pain of what you were describing. What is that? Yeah, Dad Romans was one more chance with me with issue 2. We'll see if I pick up 3. There you go. It was thick. Picked up Savage Dragon 1, signed by Mr. Eric Larson off of Buddy, and it didn't make it out to the LC. You can't go wrong with a little bit of Eric Larson, I'll tell you that. You can't go. Bronze Age Batcave. Did I ever make it to that shop? I think I bought some stuff from them, from the blonde woman. I think I bought some stuff from them on Instagram during the pandemic, but I don't think I ever made it to the actual shop. But they had some inventory. I miss my shops in Cali, no doubt about it. Scrolling through some of the comments here, seeing what else you guys picked up. Scott's on the board. Dead Romans, yes. Oh, Latin. Daredevil, World Tree, Captain America, Grimm, Philadelphia, etc., etc. Frog Brawler, how you doing, brother? He's good to see you up in here. He's running down the list of things that he picked up. If you guys have not seen The Diplomat, if you have not seen The Diplomat, treat yourself. Treat yourself tonight. If you remember The Americans, I think you will enjoy The Diplomat. It is a fantastic show. I think I'm like 8 episodes in. It is fantastic. Neil's on the board. Did I miss the comment? Don't forget where's the comment? I see Neil in here talking about 6 figures. Wait a minute. Trev, the shipping guru, wants 8 issues of Isolation released. That sweet Christmas. Trev, I will tell you, brother, Doug and I have a lot of conversations about things. And we are getting closer and closer to being at a point where we could do a trade. I think Doug, we might be close to like 100 pages or so of content. I mean, if you include all, I might be a little bit off. I think we included a lot of the covers, but we just put together a PDF, and I think it was like 102 pages of Isolation. We are getting close. We are getting close to making that magic happen. But we need a friend or several with some incredibly deep pockets to make that magic happen. Neighbor Neil's in the house. It is good to see you. We are going to go ahead, and I am running a little behind. Let me do this real quick before I get to the very first thing. I'm trying to find it. My heart goes out to these folks right here. This is actually something that I covered recently. This is an article on Deadline, and it goes into a lot of detail about the layoffs that have been taking place at Disney. They are in the process of trying to cut costs to the tune of $5.5 billion. And one way that they are doing that is to reduce headcount. And I think that they are, as of this week, laying off about 4,000 people. By the end of this week, they'll be at about 4,000. They are on their way to laying off about 7,000 people total. And I think it's one thing to talk about the number of people being laid off, but you have to multiply that by something to really get a feel for the number of people that are impacted by what's happening. And we're talking about families, people with oftentimes that have families, that have kids. There is an impact that goes beyond just the initial 4,000 to 7,000 people that are going to be laid off. So as Disney cuts 4,000 staffers across the conglomerate in a goal to reach $5.5 billion in savings, Deadline has learned On the feature side, those being laid off were largely comprised of mid-level and coordinator staffers. So not leadership, but people that do the work that has to be done. Among those departments hit were Searchlight, as well as general Disney marketing, PR, distribution, legal, and the 20th and Disney story departments. And so again, a lot of folks laid off. And interestingly enough, they say that it was people here that have been around for decades to those people that were relatively fresh to the organization. A lot of folks laid off across several different departments. So I'm not going to go into the details of this article, but my heart definitely goes out to all of those individuals and families that are impacted by this. Funny story. This is a sign that I used to drive by when I used to live in Burbank, California. I actually ran out of gas. I ran out of gas to the left of this sign one very hot day in California when I was wearing a t-shirt and a dress shirt and a tie. It was a long walk to the gas station off to the right, and I had to buy a gas can and gas. It was not a fun day for me, but funny story. As I look at this sign, I always think about that anytime I see it. So again, just trying to have some positive thoughts for all those people that are impacted by the layoffs, whether you agree with what Disney is doing or Ron DeSantis is doing. A lot of people are being impacted by losing their jobs at lots of different organizations. So I want to go ahead and make a pivot and bring on my first guest. But before we do that, I want to, I guess, maybe slide back to something that we touched on a little while ago, that being isolation. We had, I think, some pretty good success with isolation issue number 3. The format that we came up with for doing the Kickstarter, doing the packages, it seemed to work. And I was pleasantly surprised. I was ecstatic in some ways that it worked out as well as it did. And we are going to keep the ball rolling forward. So we are kicking off isolation issue 4 Kickstarter tonight. And to help me to talk a little bit about that, I want to welcome to the show the man himself, Doug. It is good to see you, brother.
Hey, Reggie, great to see you.
Doug, what does that say on your hat?
Delaware. It's the most expensive hat I've ever bought in my life.
Your hats seem to always be in like a specific color palette. Like, yeah. I know it's going to be different, but it's similar enough that it's not, jarring, if you will,
My son will be a freshman at the University of Delaware in the fall, and this is what I got out of it.
Oh, now I get it. Now I get what you mean by the most expensive. Well, I mean, you will spend money on food, though, won't you? I mean,
yeah, that's going to be offset with some other expenses. But yes, the house budget of food will go down.
There you go. So, Doug, I wanted to have you come on, man, and I wanted to talk about issue 4 because I'm excited about this one, right? So, we've done clearly 3 issues already. They're out in the world. I think people are enjoying them. What can people expect with issue number 4?
So issue number 4 is one of my favorites. It's kind of the end of the beginning, and it takes threads that we've started in issues 1, 2, and 3 and starts to braid them all together to truly bring the story of isolation in 1869 together. So it's a fun issue. It's an interesting issue. And there's also one other big mystery surprise that comes out in this issue that I think will very much surprise readers.
So we've always had little mysteries, revelations. Is this one going to be a revelation is it going to be a true revelation, or is it going to be something new that's going to capture people's attention? Like, put a little bit of context around what you just described there, because that was super cryptic.
Yeah, well, I think that the readers know that there are interesting, unique, and not normal things going on in isolation. And issue number 4 has one more big surprise. Most of them were revealed or hinted at in issue number 1.
Yep.
And in issue number 4, one of those big ones from issue number 1, you're going to get a taste of again. So I don't want to give away if people have read the first 3 issues, they might know what I'm speaking about. But I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to ruin it, but we do want to let people know what to kind of expect from
Yes.
this issue. So correct me if I'm wrong. I think we saw first appearances in issue 1, 2. There were some in issue 3. Are we going to get first appearances in issue 4 as well?
Yes, but, and I'll say but, there was a character very briefly introduced at the end of issue number 2, like a few panels on one page, who is very important to the 1869 story. So if you want to look at that as the cameo, the character's name is John Jackson, and he is fully a part of issue number 4. So this would be his first full appearance. There is also a very brief introduction of a character that I'm not going to get into. And if you read issue number 4 and you're not paying attention, you might not even notice it.
Yep.
But it is an extremely important character to the entirety of all of the time periods of isolation.
What's funny is that you hit the points that I was going to bring up. I was like, so is that the cameo in issue 3 and then the first full appearances in issue 4? I mean, one of the cool things that you've done is you didn't just jam everything into issue 1, right? Like you've kind of spread these first appearances out. You've kind of spread out these revelations and these events. Like every single issue has a little bit of an exclamation mark at some point in it, if not a couple of them. How purposeful was that as you sat down and went from your novel format to these individual issues? How important were those beats, if you will, to hit?
Extremely important. And part of that was that when I designed Isolation, it was meant to have at least one murder, because it's a story about murder, in every single issue. Obviously, there are multiple murders that take place.
Like
if you haven't read issue number 3, yeah. So that was part of it, but also a mystery series has to have a page turner element to it. Like when you get to the end of the chapter, you want your reader to want to know what happens next. Yep. And going back to the thing that Beth killed me on, which was the Lost comparison, like Lost did that very well on television, but without knowing where it was going and without connecting a lot of dots, which is extremely frustrating. Yep. Isolation is meant to have those moments, but they will all pay off, every single one throughout the series.
And what's great is that with the format that we've come up with these Kickstarters, it puts us in a position to be able to fund it, to get us to the point where we can see that full reveal. But again, by having your finished novel and working backwards, you already know where the thing is going to go, right? Which is great. It's a question of how best to get there graphically and through dialogue spread across these multiple issues. And I think that you're hitting those beats. I will also tell you, Doug, that artwork that you have behind you is just fantastic. I noticed that as you were talking.
I was waiting.
Brother, I need to frame up mine because that's amazing. What is that? Is that that's issue 1, right? Right there?
All 3 of those pages are for issue 1. Obviously the cover.
Yeah.
For those who have read it and you look closely, the last page. Yep. And I went with the library. Yeah. The library, which is not the first page, but my favorite.
No, it's the first page that you took that crushed
me.
me.
Yes, it was.
We may turn that last page over there into a cover at some point. We may rock with that. I've been
Oh,
having that in the back of my mind that maybe at some point we'll do something. But Doug, let's take a little bit of a transition now that I've brought up the artwork. We are doing something slightly different for issue 4, right? We're taking a bifurcated approach to the artwork. A single writer, you, but we're taking a bifurcated approach for those that don't know, two approach to the artwork. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it's going to work?
yes. It's really cool. The portion of the story, which is smaller in 1992, the interiors are done completely by Delia Gunderson, who did all of issue number 1 and issue number 2. The 1869 portion, which is the majority of issue number 4, is done completely by Chase Cowan, who did the interiors for issue number 3. And it's something that you and I talked about at the very beginning. We knew because Delia's style is so detailed and takes much longer because of that, that if we could do this regularly and long term in order to get things out quicker, we might need to solve that problem. And I love using both artists. And I think, again, without giving something away, we came up with a really cool transition from Delia to Chase's artwork.
And it's going to be, again, I think the solve was great. I can't wait for people to see it. But we are making lots of progress, right? I mean, we finished already all of the interior pages for issue number 4. I think Chase is in the process of inking everything right now. The cover for issue 4 is pretty much done. We have to put the trade dress on it and stuff like that. But again, we have made a tremendous amount of progress and we are working to get the issue buttoned up. There's still a lot of work to be done, but we will get it buttoned up. So at this point, I want to tell people where they can find the Kickstarter because people may be wondering that. It is not on regiecollects.com. I have launched a brand new site, swoldierpublishing.com. I had to build it myself. I had to build the site myself. We're still not quite sure whether it's going to function properly, but it's up there. So swoldierpublishing.com is where you can actually find information on the Isolation 4 Kickstarter. You'll be able to see the cover, the finished cover, and also the partially finished cover, because I left both of those up there. But there are several different packages that are available to people, and I don't want to pull them up because there's other surprises on the site that I don't want to reveal. But there are several packages similar to what we did for issue 3. There's package A with cover A. There's cover B, which is package B, and that's going to be a premium cover, to be determined exactly what's premium about that. There is package C, which is both A and B signed by Doug and myself. There's package D, which is the digital package, which includes a PDF of issue 1 through 3. It also comes with a early access to issue 4 digital. And then we have the package E, which is the mystery box as well. Mystery boxes, fingers crossed, will be as amazing as they were last time. I still need to figure out exactly what's going to go in there, but they should be cool. Right now, those are the 5 packages that we have. They are on swoldierpublishing.com. Check it out when you get a chance. Doug, anything you want to comment on with regard to the packages?
I think they're great. I think I so appreciate everyone's support of the Kickstarter for issue number 3. I think we'll probably have some cool surprises along the way. I think issue number 4 is, I think, a satisfying issue for Isolation readers. So I can't wait for everybody to see it and read it.
Very good. Good stuff, man. I'm excited that we're working on this. And people kept asking, how long can you keep it going? If people continue to support the Kickstarter the way that we're doing, we can keep it going. So fingers crossed that we can do that. Doug, get in there.
It's not related to the Kickstarter, but with issue number 4, there are 113 pages of story for Isolation. and there's a lot of extra goodies that we haven't released into the world that are just itching to get out there in a trade. I'll leave it at that.
No, that's cool that you did that, because again, the PDF that we put together was, I think, about 102 issues, but it included all the variant covers. So
Yeah.
the fact that you just gave me the total number, the point here that Doug is making is, Trev, we are getting closer to being able to put together a collected work, a graphic novel. We've had debates about how to do it, when to do it, all that kind of stuff, but we are starting to amass enough content to be able to make something like that happen. We're also amassing enough content to make other things happen as well. We will see whether we can make those things happen. And someone just placed an order for a mystery box, so thank you very much for going ahead and doing that. And again, fingers crossed we can make those mystery boxes as amazing as they were before. Doug, before I let you go, brother, let's do a quick trivia. Let's do a quick trivia, and let's give away something. Whoever wins is probably going to get a Isolation 3 ash can, but you're also going to get a couple of these books that I showed at the beginning of the video from Image Skybound. So, Doug, what is your trivia question? Blue Wrenches, be on the lookout for the first answer to keep me honest. But, Doug, get after it.
All right. The name or nickname of the cover character of Isolation issue 3.
Say
name or nickname.
Say it one more time.
The name or the nickname of the character that appears on the cover of Isolation issue number 3.
All right. So are you looking at the chat?
I am.
So let's see whether we can get the very first answer up there, and we will go ahead and give this thing away. Again, for those folks that may be coming in late, we are talking with Doug, who is the writer of Isolation. We just announced our Kickstarter for Isolation issue number 4. Packages are available on swoldierpublishing.com, my brand new website. Doug, do you see it up there?
I think Philtastic got the nickname, and Miscellaneous T got the full name. So
technically I only have one prize. But we're gonna let's give it to both of them. Philtastic and Miscellaneous T, both send me an email to Regie@RegieCollects.com. I'm gonna send you slightly different stuff. Philtastic, I think you have an ash can already. So if memory serves, we will give that to Miscellaneous T, but both of you will get some books from the folks over at Skybound. So shout out to both of you guys for being on top of it and for supporting. There's no way you could have known that without having read the comics. So that's the beauty of it. So Doug, thank you, brother, for coming on. It is it continues to be a pleasure to work with you on this project. Fingers crossed that we can keep this thing going, and wouldn't it be amazing to put together a graphic novel or some other just really cool stuff that we've discussed. You know, there's stuff I haven't even told you about that's in my head. So
all right, I love it.
Yep.
It's
Thank
fun.
you, brother. It's good to see you.
Take care, Reggie.
All right, man. So one thing I will tell you is that if we do generate enough via the Kickstarter, Doug has actually written some additional pages that we may create to insert in a graphic novel at a later date. So depending upon the level of support we get, we actually have already built a plan for having additional content be created for a graphic novel. So Doug and I are not short on ideas. Let me tell you that. Doug has some really great ones. I try to come up with one or two to throw out at him, and we are able to make some magic happen. So let me give you guys a quick update. I'm going to be at Shortbox Live come May 7th. I'm basically going to be doing the show that you are watching right now from the main stage at 3 p.m. on May 7th. So I got to get them a better photo. So if you guys are in the area of Santa Clarita, I definitely want to encourage you to come by Shortbox Live, 3 p.m. I'll be on the main stage and be doing this show live. So if you are there, I'm probably going to need your help, because the only way I can do it is if I have people to talk to be like, hey, what'd you pick up today? at the con. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to come out. It should be a fun show. It'll be the first time that I've ever done this show live in front of an audience. So fingers crossed that it's cool. So here's the other thing. We just did a big announcement, right? In my world, it's a big announcement to basically say, as an independent publisher, we are moving into issue 4 of a really cool comic. But there's more. But there's more. So I wanna welcome to the show a guy that I've gotten to know over the last few years. He's been on the show maybe a couple of times in the past, but I want to welcome to the show right now, Scott. Scott, is good to see you, brother. How are things?
Very well, Reg. Thanks for having me on.
So, Scott, most people that have seen you or heard your name have heard it within the context of you being the guy that does the layouts for Isolation, that does the layouts for the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting. You do all of that production stuff to get us to the point where we can print this stuff, right? That's how people know you, but it's not why I have you on the show tonight. I have you on tonight because you and I are doing a comic together, yes?
Yes, we are. We have a fantastic story.
Do you want to tell the people, Scott, what this comic is that we are working on, and give them a little bit of an overview, a preview of what this book is all about?
Sure. There's going to be a lot that we're going to be releasing about this book, so definitely stay tuned. But it is a historical fiction. It takes place in modern time, but it is going to span across centuries. And I use that word in a few different ways. It starts off with a reporter that's embedded with troops in Afghanistan, and has an ambush happens. And what he finds out is it wasn't just an ambush. They were trying to take him out for a specific reason. And when he starts digging in, he finds himself in the middle of a battle that has been going on for centuries between two individuals that are, shall I say, immortal. And it gets really, really interesting.
You are dancing between the raindrops, my friend.
Yes,
that is well done.
I'm trying to tiptoe as best as I can without giving away.
You are doing a great job. So I have to ask you the same question that I asked Doug when Doug and I first started talking about Isolation, right? You just said it is essentially something that happens over centuries, right? Is there time travel involved?
No real time travel. I mean, we'll have some flashbacks on, giving some background on some of the different characters. And again, this story, I love history. I'm a big history buff. So I reach into, and I've done a ton of research in different things. So I'm taking what, when you start reading about these historical events, and I start painting over with my own creative brush, what I think is a pretty compelling, pretty interesting, very action-driven story. I think everybody's going to really like it.
How long have you been working on this? Because I know you brought it to me a while ago, but how long before you brought it to me had you been working on this, and what all went into that?
So it was probably several years ago. The initial idea or framework of the story was rolling around in my head, but it was one of those things where it was a story, but I had no connective tissue. I couldn't find a way to, what's the thread that goes through the story that ties everything together? So, like everybody else in the world, when COVID hit, I started rolling through a number of different things, and I read something and I was like, wow, it was like when you have a jigsaw puzzle and all the pieces start falling into place.
Yep.
And I said, this is it. This is what we're going to do. And when I laid it all out, we've gone through a couple iterations of, editing.
Yeah.
And, there's also some creative ideas that we're going to be sprinkling in, but that comes later. But I think it's, our finished product for issue number 1, I think is solid.
Yeah, I would agree. And you know, you've been working on it, it's been kicking it around for years. You brought it to me months and months ago, and we kicked it around for a while, right? As we were working on Isolation and the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting volume 2 mostly.
Sure.
And then we've done a couple of rewrites and like tweaks, and it was good to begin with, but it's gotten better and better and better with every single draft that you've put together. And when I sat down and read the final piece, I was like, this is amazing. Right. Like I love military inspired stuff. Right. And so there is, and I love history. So there's like history, there's some biblical stuff, there's some war stuff. It is a wonderful tale that I can't wait to see on the page in graphical format. But
Oh,
to
sure.
that point of artwork, do you want to talk about the artist that was selected and why the artist was selected?
Sure. So the artist that we're using for the book is called Marcus. I think I forgot to say that.
And I
The
forgot to
book
ask you, so thank you for clarifying.
That's all right. The book is called Marcus. And the artist that we picked was Chase Cowan, who's done Isolation number 3 and 4. So when I saw Chase's artwork in Isolation 3, it it clicked, because I said, he's got a perfect style for the type of story that this is.
Yeah.
And his action scenes flowed very well in Isolation 3. So if you haven't seen the book, you want to make sure you pick that up, because the artwork that he has in there, I said, the issue 1 has some amazing scenes that people are going to, your jaws are going to hit the floor. That's all I can say. Your jaws are going to hit the floor when you
They don't know how funny that is, brother. They don't know how funny that is. They will.
You'll get it. But I'm telling you right now, when we release some of these things, your jaws are going to hit the floor. And his art style was perfect to pair with this story. So he's already shared with us some of the preliminaries of the character development, and I couldn't be happier.
He shared with you. He hasn't sent me anything.
Okay.
But I'm glad the two of you are working together, because that is more important than him sending anything to me. The relationship that he has with Doug is solid. The relationship that he will develop with you will also be solid, and the finished product is going to be amazing. So part of the reason why we are telling people about Marcus is because Marcus is actually on soldierpublishing.com. So I didn't want people to go there, see this, and be like, well, what is this? Well, that's why we wanted to have Scott on to talk a little bit about it. We are not as far along in the process of bringing Marcus to life as we are issue 4 of Isolation, but we are marching down a path, and there will be a lot more reveals that will be coming in time. So I definitely encourage people to stay tuned. If you want to make sure you stay in the loop as to what's happening with Swoldier Publishing, Isolation, and Marcus, there is an email sign up on soldierpublishing.com. I definitely encourage you to sign up for that. That way, when I send out alerts, you guys will know. That is, if you miss a live stream or something like that. So, Scott, I am pumped to work with you on this project. I cannot wait for people to hear more about this, because there is so much more to what you have done that it's going to blow people away. It really is. And I cannot wait for the reveal. So, Scott, where can people get a hold of you on the social media should they want to reach out?
I'm on Instagram. It's just S Palochik, my last name, Palochik. I'm not real original.
No, that's funny. No, you are a creative dude. I'm laughing at Doug's comment. I guess Doug is fighting over Chase with you to try to get some stuff done. Hey,
for time,
when somebody's in demand, this is what happens. But the good thing is that Chase works extremely fast and is extremely talented, and so we're going to make the magic happen. Scott, it is a pleasure to see you, brother. Thank you for coming on the show. You'll definitely be back several more times as we get closer to rolling this thing out.
Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. And I can't wait to start talking about more of what we have to just buckle up, people. It's going to be good.
All right, Scott, talk soon, brother.
All righty.
All right, so cool stuff, man. Two really cool announcements. And again, this is just some of the stuff that we have been working on for a while. It's been in the background. I tease you guys all the time that I keep secrets. Scott is just one of the secrets that's been in the background. I will tell you, I am super pumped about Marcus because, again, I like history. I like historical references, historical fiction. It's military inspired, and I am all about that. So fingers crossed that you guys are as blown away by the story as I have been. You'll love the artwork. There is no doubt about that. So I definitely will say stay tuned. Stay tuned because more to come. We are what is that? Wow, 2:30. Okay, sorry. Right. Reading the wrong thing. There are also some other announcements that we haven't gotten to. We'll probably have Doug come back and we'll talk about some of those other things. But there's another little reveal that we'll be doing probably in March. Let me show you guys the cover real quick. I forgot to do this when Doug was on. This is actually the cover for Isolation issue number 4. It was my bad that we didn't get to it. And this is a lantern with some reflections in it. And I will tell you that this lantern is derived directly from the story that Doug and Delia and Chase are telling in issue 4. Cover is fantastic. Doug will probably be hanging this one on his wall at some point because this cover is going to him. But Delia Gunderson, who has done all of the covers for us, just did a fantastic job with this. I sent it over to Scott earlier today so that he could put the trade dress on it. But this thing turned out incredibly well, and we'll have to figure out what the premium version of this cover looks like. So more to come on that. All right. So the last thing that I want to talk about before we wrap up is David Zaslav. David Zaslav was actually at CinemaCon earlier this week. It's not often that the head of a studio actually makes an appearance at CinemaCon, but he did. He showed up and he said some really interesting things. He said, "We do not believe in direct to streaming movies," which is contrarian to what Warner Brothers did during the pandemic, in which they had movies that they opted to release directly to HBO Max, their streaming platform, bypassing theaters altogether, much to the chagrin of the talent and the theater owners themselves. For those that don't know, CinemaCon is an event where theater owners come together. It's basically a conference, a con that they do where they come together and they get these presentations from the studios as to what's going to be coming up for the foreseeable future so that they can plan. In a rare appearance for a corporate CEO at CinemaCon, Warner Brothers Discovery Chief Executive David Zaslav took the stage Tuesday at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, a visual show of support for an industry that he's been pumping since he took the reins of the newly merged Warner Brothers Discovery last year. He says, "We do not believe in streaming movies," the exec flat out told the giant annual industry confab of theater owners before the Warner Brothers presentations. "Movies in theaters perform substantially better when we bring them to HBO Max than any of the direct-to-streaming movies. We said it 9 months ago, we said it 6 months ago, and we've never felt strongly about it." Long story short, he is trying to repair his relationship. He is trying to repair Warner Brothers' relationship with theaters because it has not been good, again, because they opted to release movies directly to streaming, bypassing theaters. So he says Warner Brothers was down to 6 movies a year at the merger. We are up to 16 movies and want to do more than 20 a year. We're all over the next couple of years with motion picture storytelling, but we need your help. Asking the theater owners who haven't stepped up their game. He goes on to talk about they need to be innovative, they need to be contemporary, they need to put cheeks in seats. Long story short is essentially what he's saying. But he's like, there's no purer form of storytelling than the motion picture business. Warner Brothers is not in the retail business, not in cable, not in broadband, not in phone. We are just storyteller. So he is basically saying we are dedicating ourselves to creating really great movies and releasing those movies back into theaters. And they have a decent lineup of movies that they're going to be releasing. All of the feedback regarding the Flash movie seems to have been overwhelmingly positive at CinemaCon, Las Vegas time. I think it was Tuesday. They actually did a screening of the Flash movie. And all of the feedback that has come out of that screening has all been incredibly positive. It seems like this movie is going to be fantastic. Warner Brothers is like all in on this thing. So fingers crossed that the movie is incredible, gets Warner on the right track. And as you just heard, they have 16 movies and they want to do like 20 movies direct to theaters, which hopefully will get theaters back on the right track. Good stories and good movies have a way of putting cheeks in seats. So fingers crossed that they can make this magic happen. All right. So that was one thing that I wanted to kind of share with you guys, because again, we heard all of the outrage with all of the direct to streaming stuff that was happening. It seems like things are now turning back around. David has basically said, look, we tried that. It didn't work. The numbers didn't add up. It didn't make sense. So we're going to go back to the way that things were, which potentially could be a really good thing. The Flash feedback hasn't been simply good. It's been there. There you go. Glowing reviews. There you go. And I said this to somebody on Instagram. I said, I think that this movie is going to be successful in spite of Ezra Miller, because a lot of people are saying people shouldn't see this movie. They are saying the movie's going to be bad. They're going to say, Ezra is a horrible person. Ezra may be a horrible person, but I personally do not want to see the Flash movie do bad, because if it does bad, then that has a detrimental impact on the people that create movies at Warner Brothers, right? I want the people to have their jobs. I want the people to have some success, have some wins, have their creative genius be on display for people to see. And I hope this movie is successful despite the antics of Ezra Miller. Despite all of that, I want nothing but good things for Warner Brothers. So let me Michael friggin' Keaton. There you go. You can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong with a little Michael Keaton. And people say there are no celebrities. There are no movie stars. Again, I think that people are wrong. Scrolling through this is pre-James Gunn, no doubt about it. The one thing that, again, that I've been really, really clear about, because people like they should just trash this movie. James Gunn is a bad person because he hasn't canned Ezra Miller, because he hasn't canceled this movie. The reality is that James Gunn works for somebody. He works for David Zaslav. David went on the record before James Gunn was even hired and was basically like, the Flash movie is good. The Flash movie is coming out. The Flash movie is going to be a turning point. David made it super clear that Flash was the line in the sand, and James Gunn and Peter Safran and everybody else have essentially lined up because their boss made it known that Flash was going to happen. And now we know why, right? We know why David responded the way that he did, why he drew that line in the sand, because it appears that the Flash movie is going to be epic. And yes, it is pre-James Gunn, but it sets James Gunn up for some really good stuff. Fingers crossed. Warner Brothers, DC, they need some wins. That was a good line from the trailer, man. That was a good line from the trailer, no doubt. Oh man, you know what? I see Scott still in the green room. Scott, did we do your trivia question? All right, so I got ahead of myself. We still have a few minutes left, so I want to bring Scott back. And I want Scott to do his trivia question, because I want to make sure that we give away some stuff. And I'm stalling to make sure Scott is ready before I put him back on screen. And I think that he is. So Scott, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you. It's been a while.
Brother, I was ripping there and I was like, ooh, I think I forgot something. So Scott, you have a trivia question that you are going to read off. The first person that gives us the correct answer will be the winner. If you are the winner, send me an email to Reggie@RegieCollects.com to claim your prize. Scott, go ahead and read the question.
Okay. So I do want to preface this by saying that this was from a 2019 article in where I sourced this from. So it was pre your House of X, Powers of 10, X-Men, and some of the other things that have happened. But what Marvel character has died the most in comics?
One more time.
What Marvel character has died the most in comics?
So the first person that is able to answer that question will get a stack of stuff from me. Maybe an isolation ash can. They are numbered 1 through 50, written in my very poor handwriting, along with some really awesome books from the folks over at Image Skybound. Folks hopefully are going to throw their answers up in the comment section here. And the very first person that is able to get this question correct will be the winner. And I think I actually see the answer in there, which is a little shocking. That
yes.
I didn't think anybody was going to get this one, brother. I was about to say we probably need to come up. I was like, we probably need to come up with like a hint to help them out.
Well, that's why I was going to go through, but it was like, okay, so should I give them the little bit of a countdown?
Give them the countdown. Yeah, go for it.
Because I see a lot of the names in here. So just so everybody is aware, Professor Xavier has died 4 times. Rogue has died 5 times. Iron Man has died 5 times. Thor has died 6 times. The Wasp 7 times. Hawkeye 7 times. Jeremy Renner's, well, he didn't die, so we're good.
It's too soon. It's too soon.
Well, too soon. Wolverine has only died 7 times. Spider-Man has died 9 times. And Captain America has died 12 times. But the winner is Jean Grey. And as they put, she died innumerable times because her death tally is impossible to calculate exactly, because during the X-Men Phoenix End Song miniseries, Wolverine had to kill her dozens and dozens and dozens of times in order to weaken the Phoenix Force. So it was the Phoenix Force had to bring her back to life, and eventually she became weak enough for her to regain control of the Phoenix Force. So Jean Grey, she's had quite a few bad days.
There you go. There you go. So I think we saw a winner there. Who was the winner? Let me scroll back up through the comments here. I see Jean Grey question mark. Yeah, there we go.
It was JDI 26. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. And is that oh, I thought that was Cyclops there for a minute. I was like, it's no surprise that
that'd be why.
Got it. But it looks close, right? So JDI 26, hopefully you are in the US. Send me an email to Regie@RegieCollects.com. The email address is right there. 1G. If you put 2 G's, I will never see it. But send me an email to Regie@RegieCollects.com. Screen name, government name, and also your mailing address. I will bundle up a package of stuff and send it off to you. Some of you guys were pretty darn close. It was JDI was just a little bit quicker, but you guys were definitely on it. Scott looks like a younger Jeff Ross. I don't know who Jeff Ross is, but I am jealous of the hair. I am jealous of the hair. All right, Scott, I'm going to let you go again, brother. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for such a great trivia question. Like, you sent that to me earlier. I was like, this is a good one. And my apology for not getting to it, but I'm glad you didn't disappear. So thank you, brother.
No worries. Thanks a lot. See you later.
All right. So there you go. That is the show tonight. I definitely want to encourage you guys, if you have a chance, to go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel for some crazy reason, I definitely want to invite you to do that. And as a reminder, SwoldierPublishing.com is where you can actually find all of the available packages for Isolation issue number 4. Please continue to support the project because Doug will cry otherwise. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms with pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combinations. You flying, we waiting. Indian style in the gold temple of greatness. When you follow the North Star, you coming for the education. This is my audio book. These rhymes are just the imagery. More like an audiographic novel or a memoir about a young MC making timeless music with his mentor. I pray y'all grasp my letters. Nothing was meant to last forever.